the solution they are currently suggesting is euro bonds. You know what are euro bonds? It's more debt. The problem is debt, and then you create more debt. How to solve problem with a debt with another debt, is it? You see, you need to understand problem solving in micro and macro. For example, let's say we are all economy. If I print $1 million and give it to one of you, you'll immediately become a millionaire, right? Correct or not? But if I create millions and give to each one of you, then it will be only inflation. You will not become rich. So you can solve one section of the economy, but you cannot solve the entire thing with a similar solution. So same as debt. If you have a debt problem individually, you can solve one person's problem like that, but you cannot solve the system like that. You see that? So you cannot create euro bonds to solve the problem. It will only worsen the problem. You are creating more money. You are creating more money to solve this thing. And since the real things will be same, right? The same real things, it will create hyperinflation. The system will create hyperinflation. That's why, can you go back? You see, that's why the problem will create a hyperinflation. So next year, you are going to find price of a lot of things going to just skyrocket. You see, not only the Europeans are thinking of euro bonds, the Americans are now talking about quantitative easing number 3, QE3. You know what is QE3? It is just printing more money. It sounds very sophisticated, isn't it? Quantitative easing sounds like quantum physics, right? But it's basically it's just like printing. It's printing more money. So all this will create global hyperinflation. So what is worrying is this, your price of your rice, price of your wheat, the staple food will skyrocket next year. The bread and everything, when they take this kind of solution. See? So countries that import food will be devastated. You see that? And it will bring the whole world economy into a serious recession when you go on in this path like that. All they want to do is they just want to try to save the euro at all costs because they know it's unsustainable. So they're trying to create more money, and then when you create more money like this, it will just still again accumulate with the same small group of people. It's not going to be distributed widely with the entire system. It's going to accumulate with a small group. So it's going to create a serious unemployment and also a global economic depression, if you see from the way I see the direction it's going. And if you learn anything from our past history, mankind, whenever such things happen, they always try to solve the problem through wars. So when you cannot control people through economic this thing like this, the seigniorage of the international currencies, which are losing, all of them, euro, the dollar, yen, all are going down. So what do? You go and take the people's real resources, take over the real resources. So that is the reason why you see the game in the Middle East. It is actually a war for oil. It's a control for oil. Because if you control the oil resources, you can control China, you can control everyone, because they all need the oil for the economic engine. You see that? Even Alan Greenspan in his book, the Age of Turbulence, he mentioned the Iraqi war is for oil. It's in the book, right? You can say it is for all the mass destruction and all the stuff, but it's for oil. Huh? So if you see the game, there's only one country left for them to take on. The moment if they get Iran, then the China will be subdued. So the whole game, it is not all this Islamic terrorists and so on. It's basically to check the rise of China, basically China and Russia and so on. So that is the reason. If you notice recently, the general in China, right? He gave a warning. If you touch Iran, then it's a war. It's going to be a World War III. Why are they saying that? Is it? The Chinese generally say, if you touch Iran, it's going to be World War III. So that's why it's very difficult for them to even take on Syria, because Syria, like Libya, because the moment they go for Syria, it means Iran might go, you see? So Iran goes means it's going to be so it's very in a situation that you can create a serious world war, the way you see it. So if you see the entire scenario, Now, because the solution is not taken, because they didn't give the debt relief, and they have opted to create more debt and more fiat money to solve the global crisis, I think we are going to face a serious plunge next year. You know, it is all very close. With only in the political game, it's only Iran that is left. So just to give you an effect of all this on gold, you notice the exponential growth of gold price, isn't it? So to give you an effect on gold, you see the gold is the real money. Mankind learned gold is the real money. That is the reason why, even though the Federal Reserve that prints the dollar, and they don't back the dollar with gold. You cannot go to the Federal Reserve with your dollar and ask for gold. Huh? They won't. It's not redeemable. And yet, they are the largest holder of gold in the world, isn't it? Right? In Fort Knox. So why is it? Because they know it is the real money. So we have done, there's a correlation between the dollar and the gold is almost for negative 1-for-1. If the dollar were to go up, the gold price will go down. Dollar to collapse, gold price will go up. Almost 1-for-1. So since you saw the gold price is going up, it's because the dollar is collapsing. It's negative. So now that will be linked to the euro and also the yen. All of them are in a similar problem. Liquidity trap. Remember the word liquidity trap. And I say that there's going to be a hyperinflation, isn't it? So, and gold is a proven hedge against inflation. Anytime inflation goes up, the price of gold also will go up. So you can protect your savings by diversifying some of your this thing into gold and silver. So again, there will be effect. It will be you saw the documentary just now, isn't it? It's expected to go up very high. And then you see the central banks. They also know the problem of the fiat money. So they are also diversifying into gold. So most of the central banks are also buying a lot of gold now, stockpiling gold. Gold is the only commodity held by central banks as a reserve asset. You know that, I always joke, they don't hold coffee or tea as a reserve asset, only gold. And then India, also one of the countries that is fast growing, and you know that India is one of the largest consumer of gold also. Not only the central bank is stockpiling gold, so the Indian people also buying a lot of gold. If you watch a Hindi movie, you can see, And then, and also if we accept the age of turbulence, if you think that the next year is going to be an age of turbulence, then the gold is also an asset of choice during times of chaotic times. Because you see, with gold, you can take your gold and you can just move away to a place where it's safer or where there's more peace, right? So that's the reason whenever there's a war, the price of gold will go up. So if you are expecting next year to be a chaotic year, then again gold price will also go up. In fact, Alan Greenspan, the former chairman of the Federal Reserve, when he left the Federal Reserve in 2005 or 2006, right? When he left, immediately he wrote a book. You know the title of the book? It's called The Age of Turbulence. He knew what was coming. Next, you see, it is also a proven store of value. Proven store of value. So the moment you convert this thing, you see the paper money that you have, the savings you have, every day its value goes down. Each time the banking system gives out a loan to someone, the value of your savings will go down because of inflation. But gold can protect it. That's why in Malaysia, if you have a 10 cents coin, it will be written in 1970 or something, right? I always like to say this because I was a small boy during that time. The 10 cents can buy you a roti canai. I used to get to go to school 10 cents. There's the money I get to go to school. 10 cents. You can buy things. Today, if you bring the 10 cents to a restaurant, what can you get? Even a glass of water they charge 20 cents now, right? You get nothing. But if you take a gold, you see the gold during the time of the Prophet ﷺ can buy you a sheep. It's documented in Sahih Bukhari and so on, isn't it? That is a very well known in Islam. So we can give that example. So today also you can buy you a sheep because the dinar is now by 800 something. $800 you can buy a gold, right? Isn't it? So you see, for 1,500 years it can maintain its purchasing power. That's what we mean by it's a proven store of value. Our other currencies, within 30 years, the value is gone. The dollar lost its value in the last 40 years, 90% of its value. The dollar. From 1971 to this one now, 90% of the value is gone. See? And that's the reason why a lot of people are talking about returning back to the gold standard, gold dinar and so on. Even not only us, even the Western. You know, the Nobel laureate said this century is going to be the gold is going to return. Even the president of World Bank said, let's go back to gold. So when everyone is talking about let's go back to gold, so again the value of gold will go up. So you can see, when I mention gold, it's also related to silver, okay? So these two metals, they always play the role of money together. Yeah? So you will notice that this will be the effect on the metals. So what about individuals? What can we do? The governments, I don't think they'll be able to take the actions that I mentioned to you. They're not going to come, some politician, okay, we are going to write off all your debt, It's not going to happen. Even though in history it happened, historically it has happened periodically, they will do that. But in the modern world, I don't think it is possible. So what you can do individually is that you'll have to, I think, put part of our savings, other than that we do for transactions, your savings, protect your savings by investing in precious metals. Or you can go to agri land, because this will become very precious very soon. You cannot invest in houses. The price of house all will come down. All financial markets will come down. All right? Except commodity markets will rise, and land also. And protect also with complementary currencies. Complementary currencies are systems, monetary systems that will coexist with the national system, electronically or so, and by other means. And then you can use that to protect yourself. The moment you have a complementary system working parallel, you can protect. And in fact, in my opinion, the complementary currency systems are very important. You can go and Google it. There are many websites that will give you a lot of examples of complementary currencies. But we say the complementary currencies that we do should be based on gold as the measure of value. You remember what is missing in the present system? It is the measure of value. When I was going through this, studying this, I did not understand when we saw Imam Al-Ghazali mention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created gold and silver as a measure of value. You use that to measure. And when I first read this, I was hoping why the Imam didn't say, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created as a medium of exchange. To use it as money, no. Is to play the role of as a measure of value. In fact, you'll come to understand that is what is missing. So that's why the success of when we all talk about the dinar system, the success of the dinar is not minting the dinar. It's not in minting the dinar or this thing. Yes, it is important, but the success in pricing things in gold and silver. You can mint the dinar, but the moment you don't price things gold and silver, it will not work. It will not work, okay? So therefore, what this thing is that, in 1990s we saw a collapse of socialism, 2007, and now you're actually observing the collapse of capitalism. So there's no more ism for them already. Right? So there's only one left. So inshallah, this century is, I think, inshallah, it will be a century for Islam to lead. But anytime, paradigms shift, the shift will be very volatile. So that's why whatever I say, it may assume, it may look like you're like the prophets of doom. Remember prophets of doom, all the stories of this thing? No. I think that this 10 years, this one decade will be very volatile. But what we are going to see is an age of bliss, inshallah. It's coming, okay? So if you have if you do the right thing, you will do something good for our next generation. The next generation, if you let the one world government to go, take a step, they will become one central bank to create money for the entire world. That is the direction that the other side like to go. One central bank for the entire world, one world government. If you go to, if that is reached, what you will find is that the children will become basically slaves. But there will be peace. There will be peace because it will be a police state. There will be peace, but basically you will be slaves, but you do not know you are a slave. You will be just having your a simple little bit of income, but everything else will be controlled, and there will be a godless society basically. But if you reverse it, the other side, if you are able to establish the real money and eliminate riba and so on, you will release them into an age of bliss, abundance, and freedom and age of